the ministry is also in the process of finalizing the school health policy, which has also ably taken care of this issue of menstruation. So I don't think we need a special policy. And for us to be able to operationalize these policies, we have a number of guidelines and strategies that is actually helping us to see that whatever is in the policy is actually actualized through a strategic plan, which is normally a 5-year document.
Now this takes me to the young lady we have here as a girl, I would say, or a teenager, whatever you prefer to be called, but in that age bracket. What are some of those major challenges that girls are still facing today regarding menstrual health and menstrual hygiene?
The challenges girls out there that are still facing, one, inaccessibility, like there is low accessibility of the pads, especially, let me say, in schools. Like the pads are not accessible in schools, and also high-priced sanitary towels, and as well as there is the parents, some parents out there can't afford the pads because they're high-priced. So most of the girls tend to use, let me say, pieces of clothes that are cut together and formed as a pad, yet that affects the health of the girls. And also, secondly, poor infrastructure, like, let me say, there is poor disposal. Most of the girls don't know how to dispose of the pads because they are not taught. They are not taught because most parents don't have the time to teach their kids. And also in schools, in most cases, it's mostly about education, like literally the girls don't get the information. Then also poor hygiene, poor sanitation, like there is low accessibility of clean water. Like most girls in low-income communities don't have access to clean water. So that also affects their menstrual hygiene. Yes.
Okay, a number of challenges there: availability, affordability, access. Now, these are all challenges, and you're getting it from the horse's mouth. Now, I want to go to my brother here, Trevor. How have youth initiatives helped as far as improving the atmosphere for our sisters, more so in school? And maybe if you have an example, looking at the AHF, how you've been able to help fight this challenge that the young girls, our sisters that are in school face.
Thank you so much. Again, delighted to be a part of the conversation. I would just like to feed some background into my submission. You've spoken about AHF, and I'm sure the listeners are wondering what AHF is. So AHF is the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Uganda Cares, and this is a global HIV/AIDS focused organization providing cutting-edge medicine to over 2 million people globally. And Uganda is privileged to be a part of AHF. And very importantly, under our youth program that is vast and robust, menstrual hygiene is a very important component, because we believe that you cannot achieve the holistic health of a girl child minus having menstrual health as one of the mainstream conversations. Because period poverty, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, is one of those significant barriers to the holistic health of a girl child, where we know that if a girl child does not have access to pads, number one, some of them may end up in transactional sex. Secondly, you will find that not having access or not knowing, like she has said, poor hygiene, there is a reflection that they have poor or limited information on SRH, sexual and reproductive health. And so AHF has stepped in a number of ways. Number one, through our program, that is the Girls Act, like you've seen, she's a Girls Act leader. AHF distributes sanitary pads. Over 4,000 packs of pads are distributed a year with a focus on vulnerable girls in the community. We also conduct outreaches to schools and also communities where we go to a school setting and involve. Now, when we go to a school, we look at a school that has both boys and girls because we appreciate that menstrual health is not just a woman's issue. It's an issue that should be understood and perceived by both parties. And even when we're having dialogues in the communities, we invite parents, and some of the parents are male, because we want them to understand that it is a role of both genders for us to appreciate menstrual hygiene, because when men are part of the conversation, there's going to be less stigma. Men are going to understand that this is natural, and the menstrual dignity, like Rosette mentioned, is going to come in play. So our work is rotating around, first of all, distributing pads, but we know that we cannot, it's limited. And that's why we embrace partnerships, and we appreciate that Ministry of Education is on our side, and we work together to ensure that beyond we stretch. But also very importantly, we are in advocacy for improved menstrual health outcomes for girls. And so we start from communities. We just want communities to own this. We are also been pushing for a tax waiver on the sanitary products, so that the products can be affordable, like our Girls Act leader here said. Because when they are not affordable, then girls will look for other ways to, and then it is going to be a whole mess. So AHF is going through all these different alternatives just to ensure that we improve menstrual health outcomes for adolescent girls and young women. Thank you.
Well, I love bringing the men on board, because once they understand these things, then few explanations are needed. Moreover, they also, most of the times, most in the rural areas, have the financial muscle in terms of monies that are given. If they don't understand such things, then it's very, very hard for them. Now, Rosette, coming back to you, what are some of those gaps as the ministry, more so your department, you've identified as far as pushing for menstrual dignity? I love that word, menstrual dignity, is concerned.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the biggest challenge that we've had as a country is to do with the parents. Some parents are not actually parenting, and that is where we have a challenge. That some parents are not available, some parents are internally displaced, some parents are absentee parents. So at the end of the day, if the parents are not in the lives of these children, that means that these children will not be able to get information to start with. It's the starting point. The children need to get information, and I think the parent should be the first source of information. So parenting is the biggest gap when it comes to this issue. The other issue is the social norms. We have a number of social norms where they will tell you, now that you've started your menses, you are a woman. And the next thing is you get into marriage, child marriage. So we are seeing child marriage emerging as a result of poor management of menstruation. But also, we have seen that because of the different social norms, we don't see our children participating in education simply because they are menstruating, where they will tell you that when you're in your menses, you don't cross a junction. So what does that mean? That if I'm supposed to go to school and there is a junction, that I will not be able to go to school. And of course that affects participation. And at the end of the day, we see that these girls are likely to miss between 4 to 5 days attending to menstruation, and at the end of the day they perform poorly, especially in practical subjects, sciences mainly. And I think you've been listening in to the media when we have end of UCE, PLE, they will tell you, as usual, boys performed better in science. Does it mean that women and girls cannot do science? But because we have those norms that don't cross the junction, maybe the environment is not conducive, you see this girl not performing very well. So that is a gap around social norms. But we also acknowledge that in some areas, our environment is not really safe and conducive for these girls. And that is where government is actually now putting a lot of resources to ensure that construction of school facilities that take care of the unique needs of girls is actually happening. And there are a number of programs that the ministry is working with to ensure that those gaps that we had as Ministry of Education can be covered up. And we hope that we'll be able to ensure that the learning environment is safe for these children to be able to menstruate with dignity. The other issue that we see, and my daughter here has already talked about it, the cost of the sanitary pads. I think as reduced on taxation, this is an area, and the beauty we have already engaged, we have there is a parliamentary forum on menstrual health. We want to see that we advocate for reduction on taxation, because when the cost of sanitary products is high, very many people will not be able to achieve. So those are some of the gaps that we have as ministry. Of course, I've talked about the environment itself within the school setting. Some schools still don't have water. Some schools don't have disposal facilities, and that becomes a challenge. And as we are looking at these gaps, we shouldn't be looking at menstruation as an issue that only affects the girl child. We want to look at it as an issue that affects all of us. I'm imagining girls are at school and they have nowhere to dispose, and we are in that school. All of us will be affected by the stench.
Yes.
So we need to see how to manage. Two, if we don't have where to dispose, that means with the time, these girls will continue dumping anywhere they can dump in the soil, and it will contaminate the soils, and we may not have food. And yet menstruating girls need nutritious food. If they are disposing of any water sources, that is also a challenge. So it becomes everyone's business, and that is why we are here. And we hope that everyone will be able to join this conversation to see that we are able to fix those gaps that we have as a country.
Well, the gaps we have, how we fix them is something that we are really trying to address. How do we be part of this campaign to ensure dignity menstruation of the girls, most of those that are in school? Now, I see Girl Act, Uganda Cares. Please throw more light. What does Girl Act do, and how do you come into ensuring that we have menstrual hygiene with dignity?
Yes, Girls Act is a program by Uganda Cares that is focused on promoting menstrual hygiene, whereby when leaders are elected in the clinic, they form chapter meetings whereby in those chapters, the girls that are got from either the communities or the schools or the clinic itself converge to talk about menstrual health, talk about life, and also in the program, girls that are vulnerable are given school fees support and also scholastic material support, plus skilling from the leaders, and the girls also receive pads monthly that are given by the organization. Then also the boys as well. The boys are brought in the program, whereby they help the girls out during the meetings, during the outings whereby the girls meet. Then the Girls Act program is mainly focused at an age bracket that girls from 10 to 24 receive psychosocial support, whereby the girls talk about menstruation, talk about sexual reproductive health, and also life, like life at school, life at home, and also their personal life, because during the chapter meetings, the girls open up, and yes, that's it. About
Now, you
Girls
talked
Act.
about clinics. I mean, we want to get this.
Yes.
What are clinics?
What I mean about regarding clinics are the Uganda Cares clinics, like the branches, the different branches that Uganda Cares have. There is one branch at Naguru, China. It's China Uganda Naguru Friendship Hospital. Uganda Cares has a branch there. There is a branch at St. Bali Kudembe, that's in Owino Market, if I'm not mistaken. There is a branch at St. Charles Farthing. Yes, that's in Mulago, Kira Road. Yes, there's also a branch in Masaka. Yes, and there's also a branch in Lukaya.
So these are what we call clinics?
Yes, the clinics.
Okay, well, I'll explain. Now I'll go to Trevor here. Let's talk about male involvement or the boy involvement. I heard her talk about the boys also meeting. When I was in school, what was common was when the senior women would come in, would be just like who are going to persecute or crucify Jesus. The boys get out, you know, it is girl talk, girl talk. You know, all they would come pick them, take them under a tree. So it was so much of girl. Now, when we come to our culture, you're a young man, but Rosette here can affirm that there are certain things that we knew men are not part of them. Now, here we are talking about something, menstruation. Biologically, this is an experience a man will never have unless there's an abnormality. And traditionally, these are things that we keep so sacred and even hide away from the men. So then how do we bring in men and what is their relevancy? And I've heard also the boys as well, that when the clinics are there, the boys also are part of this. Please throw more light and make sense of this.
Yes, thank you so much. And I believe it's a very important discussion that we are having right now. So male involvement is very, very critical in the aspect of menstrual health management. And like Rosette said, I think one thing the listener should take is that menstrual hygiene is not a women's issue, but a human issue that concerns all of us, and it's a multi-stakeholder thing, multi-sectorial, and we all need to play in as different partners. She talked about the Girls Act. I just wanted to supplement and add voice to her submission, that the Girls Act is a girl-led, community-led program where these girls have their chapters in the communities, and then they share different areas on menstrual hygiene, HIV, HIV prevention, basic life. But what we've done is that we've integrated boys into these discussions within the Girls Act. And you'll see that they're able to have a balanced discussion where boys are told about their roles. Boys are told that you don't need to shame, you don't need to stigmatize, because this is what happens when boys are not involved. First of all, it seems alien to them because they're not exposed to the discussions. They do not know how to go about when someone starts the process because, well, they've not received that information. So we do we do part of that in the Girls Act in the different chapters that we do have. When it comes to male involvement, that is very important, and we've had these discussions at different levels of society. One thing that is critical is that men in most families are the heads of the family, meaning they have the financial ability. So in our dialogue meetings, we suggest that can pads be part of the budget of the household? You know, can men consider this as one of the necessities? Just like you prioritize food, just like you prioritize the basic needs, can you prioritize sanitary pads as well? But then also importantly, we have men in the conversations because we want to normalize menstruation, and we want it to be done with menstrual dignity. So we have men in the rooms because we want this to be a normal conversation where men are embracing this. But also we've engaged men also at the national levels, and we've had a discussion on menstruation even at the parliament, and there we're pushing for the tax waiver with Ministry of Education, but also we're pushing for male involvement at the national level, because if we have stakeholders if we have only women in parliament pushing for the waiver, you know, it's not balanced. So can we also have male stakeholders involved in this? Because when we achieve full involvement, when we achieve full support from different partners, from men and from women at the national level, at the community, then we are going to be able to, first of all, it's going to be easy to pass a policy, it's going to be easy to implement a policy because we have full involvement. So basically my key takeaway is male involvement is important because it transforms the way we look at menstruation from a woman's issue to a human issue, to a world issue. It also makes men allies. A man can go and buy the pad, you know, he's very comfortable with it. A father like you, Chirabo, can have a conversation with your daughter that is very normal. You don't feel weird about it.
Not saying my role is to provide the money.
No, just not just.
If I've provided money for the sanitary towels, what else do you want from me?
No, you can have a normal conversation with your daughter. So when we look at those different layers of society, from the decision-making spaces to the families to the communities, we believe that if we convince society that this is a human issue, then we can be able to achieve better menstrual health outcomes.
I love the fact, convincing society that this is a human issue, not tied to a particular gender. You've just reminded me, one time I went to one of these very big supermarkets, and here came a gentleman, and among the things he purchased were sanitary pads. And I want to tell you, I saw that look on many people, and they're like, aye, man. Their look really was communicating something. I think they were in shock. Does it? This one is buying pads for the daughter, for the wife, you know. How would a man on that come to a counter to buy only one thing, pads, and then drive and go? So it was something they were questioning. But if we are able to convince the male flock out there that actually this is a human issue, not tied to gender. If fathers can talk menstrual hygiene with their daughters, that is if they're empowered, because you can only give what you have. If they're not empowered, definitely their communication may not be of very much virtue.
That's why we're here.
To empower them.
That's
Now,
right,
I want to take you a quick one before we go for a break on the element of culture.
Yes.
How are you addressing this seriously? Because there's so much attached to culture and menstruation.
Yeah, thank you very much. There is so much attached to culture and menstruation, but the Ministry of Education works closely with the Ministry of Gender to be able to respond to those cultural norms and practices that actually lead either to poor management of menstruation, to failure to participate, to limitations in one way or another. So we are working closely with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to see that we demystify some of these issues within our cultures. And we cannot do it alone as Ministry of Education. That's why we are working with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, as well as the Ministry of Water and Environment, because this issue is not just our issue, much as we have the biggest client that are affected if we don't manage. Yeah.
Well, now allow me to go for a very short break. We'll return shortly. Keep it with us.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Looking for instant excitement? The Uganda National Lottery Spin for Cash game is now available online. Wherever you are, you can join the excitement for just 500, 1,000 and 2,000 Uganda shillings. Don't miss out. Register now on www.nationallottery.go.ug for a chance to win your share of 2 billion instantly. What are you waiting for? Play Spin for Cash now, anytime, anywhere. Ituba is the proud operator of the Uganda National Lottery.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Step into a world of excellence, comfort and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukoto Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
When you want to relax your body and refresh your mind, welcome to Hotel La Confidential, Aroa's premier destination for luxury and comfort. The only hotel in Aroa City offering a serene atmosphere, breathtaking scenery. Come and discover our exclusive wellness club with packages that include a fully equipped gym, a rejuvenating sauna, steam bath, and a great sky blue swimming pool. For events, our state-of-art conference halls and versatile event spaces are perfect for hosting shows, wedding receptions, birthdays, and more. Come and enjoy our cinema hall and unisex saloon, all designed to meet your entertainment and grooming needs. Bring your family and let your kids splash around in our beautiful kids water park. We are located on Aroa Pakwachi Highway in the heart of Aroa City. Don't wait. Visit us on www.hotelconfidential.com or call us on 0761 688 181.
Buza Commissioner, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear Chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling Chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you very much for being with us on UBC TV. Just to remind you, actually, Thursday and Friday, we are having the Musevenomics conference that will be running at Mistil Hotel and also live on UBC TV. So wherever you are, prepare for that Musevenomics conference 2025, Mistil Hotel. And of course, the invited guests, but the rest of Ugandans will be able to watch that on UBC TV, Thursday and Friday. But also, to let you know, we will be having a live broadcast that is regarding the digital transformation of this country. And of course, our very own MD will be one of the keynote speakers there. But that will also be running live on UBC TV shortly after Good Morning Uganda Extra. But we are still focusing on how can government and development partners strengthen systems for menstrual equity in schools and communities. And I have guests, that is in case you've just joined, Emojul Trevor, who is a country youth coordinator, AHF, Uganda Cares, at the extreme end there. And I also have Chantal Abdallah, who is the Girl Act leader at AHF, Uganda Cares. And from the Ministry of Education and Sports, I have Rosette Nanyanzi, who happens to be the gender technical advisor of this ministry. Now, let's look at how the ministry is handling partnerships all through to local governments, because we know this may not be a thing that the ministry alone will do. Of course, there are other partners that come along. How are you prioritizing this?
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, like you've already said, the Ministry of Education does not work alone. We work through partnerships. We work through multi-sectoral engagements, and we work closely with the key ministries that are related to this issue. That is the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Gender, as well as Ministry of Water and Environment. But also we bring on board other line ministries, development partners, and we have a coordination group that we discuss these issues, and that is the National Menstrual Hygiene Steering Committee, which is chaired by the Minister of Education, and the co-chair is Minister of Health. But the Minister of Education also convenes the National Menstrual Health Coalition, which is a coalition bringing together civil society organizations to be part of conversations that happen at the national level. So that is what happens at the national level. At the district level, we have child well-being committees, and these committees with membership of heads of departments from the districts, that is education, community, health, and production, to make sure that we are able to bring these issues to life. But also at the district level, there are committees called adolescent health committees, the DICAs, and these are coordinated by the Ministry of Health. They again discuss issues of adolescents, mainly adolescent well-being, issues of teenage pregnancies, issues of child marriage, as well as issues of menstrual health and hygiene. So those are committees, and the beauty here that all these committees bring together civil society organizations. So both at national and sub-national level, there is a representation of civil society organizations. And maybe the missing gap here is, as we are doing this as civil society organizations at ministry, we don't see the religious leaders. And I think it's very important that we bring them into this conversation, the cultural leaders, reason being that some of the challenges that we have with menstruation management are related to our cultures and beliefs. In some religions, they will tell you when you are in these menses, you don't even pray. And that has implications with your relationship with God. And then in others, they will tell you when you know, some cultures, when you are this and that, don't cross the road, don't go to the garden. So if I'm a mother and I have to feed my children, but the culture is telling me that because I'm menstruating, I shouldn't go to the garden, and that has implications. So we need to bring these ones on board to make sure that everyone is part of the conversation. At school level, we have school health committees, where we have the senior woman, senior man, member of the school management committee, as well as the learners, so that they can be able to speak about these issues. And we are trying our level best to strengthen clubs to ensure that it's not just the health committee that is speaking about these issues, but even within the clubs, we can actually be able to bring these issues to light, so that both boys and girls actually understand that at a certain point, girls go through this change, as well as boys going through another change. So that is why we have those different engagements from the national up to the school level. Yeah.
Now, Chantal, if you had an opportunity, and the opportunity is here, to speak to government and the donors or the development partners, what urgent need would you communicate as far as menstrual health is concerned?
The urgent need that I would talk about is the need to reduce on the taxation of sanitary towels, because most girls out there are literally can't afford it. Like, they go into other ways of acquiring the sanitary towels. So the need here is to reduce on the taxation of the sanitary towels.
And then something similar to that, as a young man, a youth here in, what appeal would you make to government to ensure that our sisters, the young girls here, have dignity during this cycle?
Thank you, thank you. And for me, I'm going to speak to different stakeholders because it's broad, and we have government as well with us in the discussion. So if we are to deliver on menstrual equity and dignity, there are some things we need to be aligned on. Very importantly, we need to integrate these conversations into most of the health conversations that we have. If you are at school, whenever we have discussions, can we have menstrual conversations as part of the dialogue, so that we increasingly and consistently normalize conversation on menstrual health, so that the boys are aligned on this, the girls are aligned on this, and we have sort of the same mindset. We need to shift some attitudes in regards to menstrual health. Then secondly, she has mentioned, we need to make sanitary pads affordable, and in the different ways. She has mentioned about the waiver. How can this be done? So we're looking at the decision makers here as we have this discussion. We need to look at the cost. We need to weigh this because so many girls are dropping out of school. We have instances in the community where girls are having transactional sex. So it is important that this plea is listened to so that the pads are affordable for the girls. But then also very importantly, we need to have different stakeholders on board. Rosetta has mentioned about religious leaders, culture, and their implications, and the implications of culture and religion on some of the behavior that we have here. So it is important that we have different stakeholders on this conversation, make this conversation mainstream. Can we understand what culture is telling us, and can we have a conversation where we get a balanced point? Yes, there's culture, but how can women and girls continue with their daily lives? And then religion, can we have conversations where we assess some of the beliefs that could be detrimental to the menstrual dignity of our adolescent girls and young women? I believe that when we have that in totality, then we can be able to achieve. But lastly, I also wanted to say, can we have male champions for menstruation? Because that is important. Because now we want male faces as well in the menstrual conversation. Can we have more Trevors? Can we have more Chiravos out there who are, you know, standing up and giving a male face as well to menstruation? Because when we have that, then we believe there are a lot of mindsets that will be shifted, attitudes that will be shifted, and we'll achieve, you know, better outcomes in gender equality, but also menstrual dignity. Yes.
Well, champions, I look forward to seeing a pack or a certain brand not only having these young girls, but also having a male face on it. I look forward to an advert of menstruation, of a particular brand. They run a number of adverts and have a number of brands I won't mention, where we see male championing this, you know. I look forward. I think if we get that angle where a man can comfortably be seen purchasing and saying, well, it's shopping every month as I plan for my home, as I do this shopping. So much we can do, I believe, to create an atmosphere very conducive. It hurts me when I see a young girl in this cycle very uncomfortable because she's being stigmatized. Yet this is a natural process. It is something that we long for because it's a journey where we are all here. Without menstruation, then that could be a different story. So instead of something that we support, then it's something we look at with negativity. And sometimes also make some talk that is not that very friendly. Well, time seems to be flying very fast, and I must let each of you leave the studios and welcome you back another time. But before I do that, let me just have a minute from one of you, or from each of you, starting with the official from the ministry regarding menstrual hygiene and health, and of course, equity for the girls.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mine is to invite you, UBC, to be part of national celebrations that will take place at Kurigugu Cricket Oval tomorrow. And I will be discussing this issue of menstruation.
Just to get you right, when you talk about the national celebrations, what are we going to be celebrating there?
So of course, we commemorate this day, May 28th.
Which is?
The International Menstrual Hygiene Day.
International Menstrual Hygiene Day, which is tomorrow.
This is tomorrow, and the Ministry of Education is convening. We expect our minister to be part of this. We expect very many young people to be part of the conversation, religious leaders, parents, teachers, and everyone. So this is a Kalango to invite you to be part of this event. Thank you.
Well, Chantal.
Mine is a call to action to provide spaces out there, create safe spaces for both the male gender and the female gender, and also implementation of the guidelines and the policies regarding menstrual hygiene. Thank you.
And finally, Trevor.
Yes, for me, mine is to first of all appreciate our dear listeners and viewers, but also for us to understand that menstruation is not a women's issue, but a human issue. And like I mentioned, AHF is an HIV/AIDS focused organization, and we have a girl-led program here, like we see Chantal. But also because we're HIV focused, we have also now gotten into STI services. We have free STI services at AHF Uganda Cares, at Dr. Charles Farthing. We call upon people to come and access these services in case you have the need. We are located at Chitante Wellness Center. You're welcome to access these services. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies. And of course, above all, you, my bosses, the viewer, thank you very much for being with us all the way from 6:30 till now. We appreciate. Well, very important to note is menstruation is not a gender problem. It is a human issue, and we must all be very supportive of the young girls, of women as they go through this life cycle. So hope you, the men out there, you join the campaign. Let's not stigmatize. Let's support them. Let's interest ourselves. Let's talk about this freely. Have the best of your day. May the good Lord bless you.